Danny. Thank you for coming today.
Danny Blum, and I am originally from Nevada, but now I live in Portugal, and it's taken me a pretty winding road to get here through life in general and just also career paths. And I think I'm finally figuring out that living life on my own terms is acceptable, but for a really long time, that was not really an option. So, yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. That's great. All right. So we'll get right into our questions here. Can you tell us what your career path looks like currently? And did you always know what you wanted to do as a career?
All right, so now I'm finally doing the whole writer author thing, which I think is something I always wanted to do. I've always been a writer. Like I look back and I have notes on barf bags and bar napkins and just random slices of paper and receipts. So the words have always come out. But this last year is when I finally took the time to really sit down and focus and just turn it into a job and make office hours and sit down and motivate myself to work on it every day. It's definitely been a long journey to get here. I'm 37 now, and I think this is a dream since I was 7. So we're finally making the time and giving myself approval to take the time to do it as well. So yeah, it's been fun. It's been an adventure.
Um, were you ever torn between your professional goals and maybe your personal goals?
Oh, absolutely. I don't know what I think I ever really knew what exactly I wanted to do because I'm torn into so many different directions all the time. Just that's who I am. Like I have to have a lot of balls in the air, and that was really frowned upon by pretty much everyone. It's like niche down, do this. Like so far, I've been events coordinator. I've been a concert production manager. I've run hostels and hotels. I've done travel agents. Like I've done a lot of different things. And I think I always wanted to travel. That was like my number one goal was just going out there and seeing the world and finding a job at that time that supported that was really difficult. So it was like either choose to stay in a career you're in or choose to leave. And I actually had an opportunity. I was working for a nonprofit as a special events coordinator in Las Vegas, and they were either laying me off or giving me a promotion. And I knew if I took the promotion that I would probably stay in that job for a really long time just because it was so comfortable and cushiony. And so I ended up taking the layoff, and it was supposed to start, I think, 2 weeks after that. And they ended up letting me stay until February because I was planning on going on a big trip anyways. So is the universe kind of was like, okay, like you're finally making the decision to go travel. Like I'll support you in that. So it was a big surprise. But it was definitely one of those things where it's like, okay, if you choose what you want, pick one or the other, and then it will support in that way. So that was definitely a surprise. But traveling has always been like travel, job, travel, job. So I've done a lot of random jobs to be able to travel. But I think it's given me all the experiences that have led me up to where I am now. So even though I never niched down like everyone tells me I should do and pick one particular path and just really stick to it, I think it's working out now.
Right. And, you mentioned a couple of times that everyone's telling you kind of what to do in a sense and how to, kind of live your life. Did you feel any guilt towards those people, because maybe you're not doing what they would like or what they think you should do?
Ooh, absolutely. Even still now, I get on LinkedIn and I see what everyone's doing for their careers and doing this. And I'm like, the things that I post, I'm like, wow, this is so untraditional and unorthodox. And it's just like, okay, maybe I should have just stuck to one thing. And then maybe I could say what this CEO of this company is saying now, but I went something different. So now I'm a writer and doing this creative thing. And that's not as good enough as if I had started this own company and business. And like the imposter syndrome is still very much real. But I have to just remind myself that if I were to put myself in those shoes, like I would not be happy living that 9 to 5 out of office doing this. Like I very much need freedom in my schedule. So I get that. And then I also get guilt too for doing what I want to do and following those passions versus getting a job. And it's like, oh, I wish I could do what you do. Like it must be so nice. And it's like, well, you can do it. You just have to make the decisions and make the step to do it. So it's kind of a double-edged sword because I guess I feel the guilt for not following mainstream, and then I also get the guilt for stepping out of the box, and people are, I don't want to say jealous or envious, but they're afraid to do it themselves. And then there's this like weird trying to balance in the middle situation. So it's been interesting.
Right, right. It sounds like you have a good work-life balance.
Yes,
Yeah.
boundaries. I've learned I have to put boundaries down because being your own boss is hard, especially it's like I love I'm very creative and I have ADHD, so it's like constantly like, ooh, I'm gonna start this project and then I'm gonna do this project and this project and this project and then never finish any of them. So like I said, this past year I really wanted to make this writing thing work, but in order to do that, I have to set personal boundaries and have non-negotiables and be like, okay, I'm in my office, even though if my office is in the living room and other people are here milling around, like I need to stick to do what I'm doing and making that a priority. And I've been a little bit strict on myself, I think, and not literally letting as loose as I would normally do. But I'm getting so much stuff done, and like having the tools that really help. Like I finally made a planner. It's taken me 5 years to get one that fits my needs exactly, like undated, so I can pick it up and put it down. And like I have 12 sitting in my closet that I just can't use now because it'll never be 2017 again. So this one's like, okay, I can fill in the date, I can put it down for a few months, I can pick it back up. It has a habit tracker, but only for 7 days, because if I do the month and then I miss a few months, then I feel guilty that I messed up and didn't check those off. So it's much more digestible and like, cool, like look at, I nailed all of these things for 7 days in a row. And then I'm like, oh wow, I've done that for like 5 months in a row now. And I had no idea, but it's really been able to do the habits. So like having the tools, I think, really make it important to get things done. And then the balance of having both. So I was like, I have to put, if I put it in my planner, it needs to get done. Maybe not necessarily on Monday, but by this week, this has to be done at this point. And then I also schedule in like Sundays, self-care Sunday. I just do something to pamper myself for the week. It could be a hair mask, it could be reading my book, it could be taking myself out to lunch, but something that's just for me to make me feel taken care of for the week ahead. And that's like a non-negotiable. And I'm like feeling so much more recharged and like, okay, we have plans on Sunday, but I have to squeeze in my self-care at some point in there. And then I'm just feeling good for the week ahead. So yeah, scheduling and balancing, but it hasn't always been that way. Definitely. I think managing the ADHD and figuring out what works and giving myself permission to have my hands in a lot of different things instead of, like I said, trying to niche down has really opened up a whole new world of like productivity and motivation too, which has been a game changer.
So you mentioned that you do have a lot more freedom, you have a lot more time to do kind of what you want. But you mentioned quite a good options how you're scheduling, your work-life balance. Do you think that's possible for maybe people who are still in that traditional sense of maybe like a 9 to 5? Do you think that scheduling in things like that would be helpful? Or do you think that maybe work-life balance is kind of a myth?
I think it's important. I think you definitely need to make time for work, but you definitely need to make time for spontaneity too, like, and not work. So it's like, yes, I have my schedule of the things I need to get done. But like I said, like for me, I'm my own boss. So it's like I have a little bit more flexibility with my schedule and when things need to be get done. So I can put it on my Monday and get it done Thursday. But it's just like maybe on Monday I don't have the energy to deal with that task. Like maybe my period's coming, or maybe I just didn't get enough sleep and my brain is not at capacity to get that job done well. And it will take me 5 times longer if I force myself to do it Monday. Whereas like, okay, I won't do it today. I feel like my energy level is like, okay, I can work on this task instead, or I'm feeling extra creative. Let me work on some marketing stuff instead of sitting down and writing. So really listening to what my brain and my mind say, and then still getting the task done just in a time frame when it's more realistic for me to get it done efficiently and quickly. And it's a lot of listening to your body. And I have an app called the Rise app, and it tells me like my energy levels like throughout the day. Like usually between 2 and 3, I have a pretty big like I want to take a nap lag. So that's when I go and do like clean my dishes or something like that. And so I'm not using my brain energy, like the high level of brain energy to do a simple task. Like I use that. I'm like, oh, okay, tells me in 2 hours my brain's really gonna be functioning for these high level tasks that I can do. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna utilize it for that. So being able to switch my schedule a little bit just within the day too, to ride those peaks and flows of the energy has been really interesting. I don't know how I found that app, but it's been really cool. And it's just like telling me when I should wake up and like when I need to go to bed and like when not to have caffeine if I want a good night's sleep. So it's like a little just like kind of a hack really. So I'd recommend that.
Yeah,
like,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I was pretty addicted. I mean, I still use it every day. So it's like, I think you get a free trial or something for 7 days, but like it still sends me, even if you don't pay for it, it still sends you notifications. So it's still kind of like, okay, time to wind down. No more caffeine after this time, or you're not going to sleep at all tonight. So I'm like, okay, no more caffeine. Perfect. I'm like, okay, now I remember. So it's nice.
Awesome. Do you have any advice for people who are maybe in a career or in a job and they want either more out of it or they want to go off the beaten path than what is quote unquote normal? Do you have anything that you would recommend or any advice to them?
I would say make time for your passions. Like if you're 9 to 5 or whatever your career job may be, and if it's not like driving you and you're dreading getting up every day to go to that job, like you need to figure out something to change it or to make it more enjoyable. Maybe you just shift your mindset around it. And be excited that you have a job that will give you money to invest in your passion project as a side hustle or something like that. Like instead of it being the ends of everything, make it be like, okay, this is just a stepping stone to where I need to be, to where I can get to where I want to be. And I have, okay, I can maybe take my lunch break and daydream about this other project that I'm going to do. And instead of just being like, oh my gosh, I'm having lunch at my desk, I'm checking my emails, I'm still doing the work, like take time to really just get in touch with what you're passionate about and try and fill that in little spots of free time that you have. And I think eventually like it will get into something bigger and bigger, and you'll just be excited and motivated to make that switch. And it has to be gradual. I mean, not everyone can just be like, oh, sorry, I'm putting my job and I'm gonna go be a finger painter. Like as much as I wish I could say I did that, but I do finger paint, but I don't get paid for it. Like that's fun, but it makes me happy, and like having that creative outlet lets me be more creative in my career as well now, because I'm like, okay, instead of just doing the analytical logistics sides of this job, like, oh, like what are the creative ways to do this? And now it's bringing a creative way into bringing the logistics and making it fun instead of just being like, oh man, I have to do this, grind this out, get this done. I'm like, oh, like how can I make this more fun for me? Like how can I make this a game almost? And like maybe if I do it this amount of time, I give myself a gold star, and when I get 30 gold stars, I buy myself a pair of tennis shoes or something. So like little reward tiers, I think. Then that will get you excited to keep moving forward towards your passions as well.
Right, right. That's a great way to look at it, actually. Sometimes you just need a different perspective. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned that, you do sometimes feel like that double-edged sword. You're getting it from yourself, for maybe seeing things or doing things differently. And then also you're getting it from an outside source, people, saying, wow, that's awesome. I wish I could do that. How do you deal with that guilt when that comes on?
Oh, that's tricky because it comes in different forms, right? So the people that are like, oh, I wish I can do that. It must be so nice. Like literally their circumstances aren't much different than mine. The only difference is that I chose to make that plan happen. Like for instance, I started traveling probably about 15 years ago, almost full time. And it was like buy the ticket and make the plan. It was like that job. I was gonna go traveling for like a big trip. And then I was like, okay, I'm gonna tell my job. And then they're like, no, we're gonna lay you off or we're promoting you. And I was like, oh man, life choices. Like, do I stay with that comfortability or do I just be like, okay, you know what? I have 3 months that I'm going to be unemployed before this huge trip. Like, what am I going to do? And I was like, okay, I'll take the layoff. I'll figure out something. Like, I'll figure out how to make some more money for that. And then they were like, oh, well, you're going to be doing that. Like, just stay on for these next 3 months and then go. Like, it was ridiculous. I did not do any work, but I got paid for it. It was insane. It was like the universe was providing, but it was like I made that decision to buy that ticket. And if you buy the ticket, you can always cancel it. Like, you can always go back to what you were doing or something similar. So why not take that risk? And then the other side of that too is when I get the more professional friends, like they're never mean about it, but it's always just like, oh wow, like you do so many things. Like, geez, like I'm like, oh yeah, sorry, that's how I was born. I did most of these personality tests and all of this. And it's like, if I function the best, if I have a million things going on. So that works for me. So like every job I've had is very much like special event coordinator, like being on your toes, taking on new situations as they come to you, like running at concerts. Like every concert is different. Like, so never, I was welding here, I was riding a forklift over here, I was doing computer work here. So it's very different experiences every day. And for me, that's what I need. But these people that tend to question that or judge that, they are very much not that person. They need one thing. They want to go clock in and they want to go, I have my lunch at this hour, I get off at this hour, I do this every weekend, this is my routine. And that's that. It's just knowing what works for you and what doesn't. And if it's not working for you, try and structure your life in a way to make it more comfortable instead of just fighting against it all the time. Because I feel like a lot of us are like, oh, I have to go to this job because I have to make money, which we have to make money, right? Like that, unfortunately, that's just how the world works. But it's like if you find a job or even switch, like maybe in the same office, just switch to a different type of thing. Be like, oh, you're actually a creative, but you're stuck in doing accounting, maybe you could just talk to your boss, be like, hey, like maybe I could take on some marketing stuff, or I can make some flyers for the office, and just kind of switching that out. And who knows, you can have a completely different job by the end of it. So it's really taking the time to get to know yourself, I think. And then when people do try and make you question that or feel bad about it, kind of just big middle finger, because at the end of the day, it's not their life. Like, who cares really what they think or feel about you? They're not going to bed thinking about what you did for work today or if you're happy. Like, they're thinking about their own things. So why am I going to go to bed and be like, dang, they made me feel guilty today because I'm following my dreams? Like, no, like I should be like, heck yeah, like here we go, like let's get another ticket, invite them on the next trip. So be like, hey, you know, here's your opportunity, come or don't come, and then see what happens.
Right.
So.
Right. That's great. And then you mentioned that you moved.
Mm-hmm.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So it was in the middle of COVID. I moved from California to Portugal when the world was closed down and things were crazy and everyone was unsure. I wasn't planning on moving to Portugal. We actually came for a holiday because we were long overdue of like vacation and traveling. And, like, that's a big part of mine and my partner's life. And we're like, you know what? Like, let's just try and go. Like, the worst they can say is no and send us back home. So we went and paid like an extremely large amount of money for a COVID test that was like valid for the 72 hours. We got some documents saying we're coming. We're like, okay, like, you know, it's a work trip. We'll just do some marketing for these boats for when the world opens. So we had this stack of paper and we landed in the Azores. And we're like, okay, like they're like, oh, you're here, like welcome. Stamped our passports, welcomed us in. We're like, heck yeah, like let's go travel. Like, what the heck? They said that Europe was not allowing Americans at all. Like, red zone, like not allowed to go whatsoever. And I mean, we did check our safety. Like, Madeira was very safe. They didn't have any outbreaks. It wasn't a hot zone by any means. They still had masks and everything like that. So we came, and then we just fell in love with this place. It's a beautiful island in the middle of the Atlantic. And then before we left, we found an apartment that was for rent for a very affordable price. And it was like, even if we just come like a couple times a year, like we can rent this out to other people. Like, there's business behind it. It wasn't like, oh, we have all this extra money, let's just sort of die. It was like, okay, like if we invest this, can we get this out of it? And that was in October. And then we came at the beginning of January to sign the paperwork, and we ended up buying a house and moving here the next month. So, but that was also because we were doing a pros and cons list on a placemat at a restaurant of staying here or going back to California. Because like in California, like we had a farm, it was a lot of work, like it was a big undertaking. And I was like, oh, do we really want to do that right now? Like, the world's crazy. And that night someone called and asked to buy part of our business. And we're like, you can't buy part of it, you have to buy all of it. And they're like, okay, like, what do you do? So we flew back and closed that deal the following week. So it was one of those things, is like, okay, you have a decision to make. Are you taking the risk, or are you going to just go back to what's comfortable? And it's like, oh, hello, the universe is calling. Like, here's a way to go move to Portugal forever if you want. And it's like, okay. And we didn't really talk about it, but yeah, we were here 5 months after. So, which was nice. We had the island to ourselves for quite some time, and then it opened up again, and TikTok has changed the traveling game a lot. So now the secret gems are no longer secrets, but I love it.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. Like I said, it's just like, once you make the decision to do something that is in alignment with what you should do, the universe kind of like provides with that. Like, when I went to go traveling that first trip, I waited and waited and waited for someone to come with me, and no one would. And my girlfriend picked me up from the airport, and she's like, are we moving to New York, or are we re-signing our lease? And I literally just looked at her and I was like, you know, I'm going to quit my job and sell everything I own, and I'm going to go travel for a while. And she looked at me and she was like, cool, let's do it. And so she also quit her job and did all that. But it was like the moment I was like, you know what, I'm done waiting. Like, screw it, I'm just going to go. Then it was like, cool, my partner in crime is here now. We traveled together for 8 months around the world. And then, yeah, so it's just like I said, once you take the step of something you really want for yourself, I think it becomes a lot easier. And the more you trust your instinct on that too, the easier it is to just be like, okay, let's wing it. The worst that can happen is we come back home and we have, you know, we're homeless and we're broke, but we find jobs. And like, it sucks for a while, but like, you can do work trade as well. Like, I've work traded in Norway, Cambodia, and Thailand, where like I don't get paid to work, but I'm trading my time, but I get a free place to stay. I get free food. I'm like swimming with the bioluminescent plankton at night, or I'm seeing the northern lights in the daytime, like something I would never be able to do. But because people are offering these positions where you can go, like, read reviews, don't just go to any old place, like make sure it's safe. But then you're getting this whole different experience. It's like, wow, like I worked at a cooking school in Thailand for 6 months or 6 weeks. So now it's like I know how to make all these Thai dishes. I got to go do this really cool like local experience that I wouldn't have been able to do traveling. And yeah, I wasn't making any money per se, but like what I received in return was so much greater. And I got to travel for longer. So it's like you have to really put in what does money have a value for you? Like, do you need to have that cash money in the bank? Or can you put your ego aside and be like, okay, yeah, I'll go work at this restaurant for 3 hours a day for free, but I get to stay there for free. I get all my food and like meeting tons of travelers and other like-minded people. So like, there's really always a way if you take the chance.
Right. You got to kind of get over that fear, any sort of guilt you're feeling, kind of just focus on the positive emotion. This is what you want. This is probably what's going to make you happy. So try it. Like you said, the worst thing that'll happen is it doesn't work out, and
yeah, try
you
something
learn.
else. Yeah, and it usually will work out in some way or another. Like you don't expect it, but it is hard. It is hard to make those first leaps. But the more you're leaping, the easier it is. Like, and the next thing you know, you're just like, oh wow, I just moved across the world in 5 months. Like, okay, and I love it. Now I've been here for 5 years almost. So you never know what will come up of it.
Right, that's awesome. Okay, I don't think I have any more questions. Do you have anything you'd like to say or add, or anything about yourself you'd like to promote?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a shameless plug in there, but I think it's also important, like following your passions and letting go of the guilt and just kind of doing what you want to do because you want to do it can really open so many other doors. Like I'm finally sitting down and writing this novel, and my main character has dissociative identity disorder, which is formerly known as multiple personalities. But in writing this book, I've interviewed over 75 people living with this diagnosis to really get the character right and respectfully write about it. And the friendships I've made because of this with people I would never have crossed paths with for any reason, like we don't live in the same country or, the age difference or whatever this. And it's like, not only am I meeting them, but I'm also meeting these other sides of them too that a lot of people don't get to see because they're so ashamed and it's like so frowned upon to be different. And mental health is like that. Like I took a chance on writing a book that I am not qualified to write, but I'm making sure I'm doing it right. And now it's like, it's opened my eyes to so many different things. And then the friendships that I've made, and like, they're so excited because the person with the DID, like they're the hero of the book. One of the alters is the only one that can solve the crime. So it's really changing the narrative on the mental health issues, especially how it's portrayed in media, especially with this diagnosis. So it's just like you really never know like what's going to come out of just taking a chance on yourself. So like I said, like this is completely I didn't sit down one day and be like, oh, I'm going to write a book about a person with multiple personalities. Like the words just kind of came, and then I was like, if I'm going to do this, like I need to do it right. Like I need to talk to people that have it and do that. And now it's like, wow, I have this whole community that's supporting me because I'm supporting them in a way that they haven't been supported before. And it's just like a whole like other thing. So anyways, that book comes out in October, Fragments of Affection.
Ooh.
So yeah, if you're interested in how that comes out, but yeah, it's been fun, but it's like I said, taking a chance on myself and like going against the pushback. Like a lot of people said I'm not qualified to write it because I don't have the disease or the diagnosis. So it's like, how can I do it correctly if I don't understand it? So it's like, okay, maybe I'm not, but I'm going to do everything I can to make it the best that I can. And until someone else is writing it to change the narrative, like someone has to do it. So I'm going to try.
That's awesome. Awesome. So where is that going to come out in October? Like,
on Amazon, it'll be out on Amazon on October 28th. The pre-sale is already up for the ebook if you're on Kindle Unlimited. If not, I'm doing a Kickstarter in August that will have special edition hardbacks. You'll be able to get the ebook access from there if you don't have Kindle Unlimited. And yeah, it's just a whole lot of fun. So Kickstarter, Amazon, and then wherever else books are distributed, but it's Fragments of Affection.
Okay, perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much. This was so fun. And
Yes,
I learned a lot, and I think you're very inspiring because I know that there's a lot of people, myself included. I am one of those people, I hate working 9 to 5. I hate working 5 days a week. But unfortunately, in this part of my life right now, we have younger children. So that routine is more for them versus me right now. And I think I've finally come to like, that's kind of the sacrifice I have to make right now until they're smidge older and they're a little bit more regulated. But we try to make it, like I don't like to stay home. I don't like to stay in one place. So we try to travel. And then once our kids are older, my goal is to just take the risks, right? Like, as soon as they're good and I know they're safe and on their own, that's it.
Exactly. And like I said too, like you have to take the steps. Like you can't just do it overnight. I mean, you can. Like I literally did quit my job and like said everything I was going to do, but like that was like 4 months of advance notice. Like I had already been planning on making that trip, so I was already saving money. So it wasn't like, oh no, now I'm unemployed. Like how am I going to fund this? It was like, okay, well I've already been saving. Like, I'm already making the moves to do this, and it's like it all comes in good time. You have to trust the universe that does that, but it's all little building blocks. But as long as you kind of infuse like switch up your routine. Like traveling doesn't have to be across the world. Like you could literally go to a town 20 minutes away that you've never been to. Like in my book, that's experiencing something new. That's experiencing different people, tasting different food. That's traveling. It doesn't have to be a huge grand thing. It's just putting yourself in a new experience and situation, I think is it's important. And we kind of get bogged down in doing the routine of this and that. Like even me, I still do it. It's like I've been at my house for like I'm like, I need to leave my house today. Like even if it's just to walk around my neighborhood, like I can't just work all day long and not do that. Like I'm excited and I'm happy about this business. So like my motivation to work is like through the roof, which has never normally been the case. Usually I'm like, when am I off? Like count down the minutes. So this time I'm like, okay, get up, go walk around, go to have a coffee across the street, like change the space. You can't just do this. It's boundaries, right? So it'll come though. And once you have the kids too, like when they're a little bit older, they're gonna love traveling as well and doing new experiences. And you're gonna have a whole different experience than I have because I don't have children. But it's like I chose to travel at a young age and do it then. But like my brother has 20-year-old twin girls now, and now he's getting to travel. It was like, yeah, it was different experiences, but we're still growing and we're still seeing and we're still having fun doing it. And that's all that really matters.
Right. Right. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday.
Yeah, you too. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.